What's going on, guys? I hope you're having a great day. So I've been thinking about making this video for about 2 years. Ever since I noticed that after my kids were born, movies that I always loved or felt a certain way about started to feel different. And I don't mean that my opinion on the quality of the film changed for better or worse. I'm talking about the way we experience it. It's a very curious phenomena that I've noticed as I get older. And of course, a lot of us have experienced that in different ways. When you're younger, you might love a movie as a kid, get into your teenage years and think, oh man, that's just corny. I don't like that anymore. It's not working for me. I don't know how I liked that so much as a child. And on the flip side, you might see a movie too young that you weren't quite ready for, not really get it, and not appreciate it until you're older. But that's not really what I'm talking about. When I became a dad, I noticed that the way I engaged with movies changed. Characters that I once related to, I still did, but not as much as other characters in the movie. I began to understand the motivations of characters that I never really connected with until becoming a parent, so I'd like to talk about some of those movies. The first is Denis Villeneuve's Prisoners. That was my favorite movie of 2013, and I still think it's the best movie of 2013. I found it gorgeously shot, incredibly acted, and it was such a thrilling story. But as I watched the film, as someone who didn't have kids, I could only engage with it on the level of someone who understands what it might be like if that happened to them. Their kids kidnapped, having no idea where they are, and the horror of going through that situation. Now that I have kids, when I rewatched the movie, it was infinitely more terrifying because I was really able to imagine what that might feel like. And that is something that I had never experienced before watching any film that was about a family in peril or children in peril. And I found myself really connecting with Hugh Jackman and Terrence Howard's characters in the film and the lengths that they're willing to go to find out where their kids are. Now, for some people, I can understand that being just too much to handle. You might not want to experience that kind of emotion when you're watching a movie, but for me, it enhanced the experience and made it infinitely more scary. Now, I mentioned in my review for Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny that I was finally able to see Temple of Doom and Last Crusade in a theater recently. Finally. I mean, whenever they would do re-releases, it was always Raiders. They never showed Temple or Last Crusade, and I was really excited to be able to finally see them in a theater. And when I saw The Last Crusade, something very curious happened. I've obviously watched that movie my entire life. I have always sort of latched on to Indiana Jones as my surrogate. Like if I were in the film, like that's who I imagine myself being. But there's a scene in the film where Sean Connery, as Henry Jones Sr., believes that his son has died. And he's standing there on the cliffside, and he has the most profound line when he looks at what he thinks is the wreckage of his son's death, and he says,
"Oh God, I've lost him. And I never told him anything."
And for the very first time in my life, I related to the father in that movie. And when he sees his son is still alive and he embraces him and the overwhelming joy that's on his face, not just to know that his son is alive, but to have that rush of relief that he still has time to talk to his son and to teach his son something. I found that so incredibly beautiful. And I've always loved that scene, but I sort of always related to Indy in that scene, that feeling where, oh, my father is finally hugging me and I've never received this warmth before. But for the very first time, I saw myself in his dad's shoes, which was really remarkable. And it was such a rush to be able to experience a film that I've loved so much for so long in a different way. It's one of the most exciting developments of becoming a dad that I did not anticipate, this idea that I would see movies differently, that I've always loved. Continuing on the Spielberg train, I want to talk about Hook, because Hook, again, is a film that I've always loved and appreciated. But the idea that Peter Pan left Neverland because he wanted to become a father, I never really connected with that part of the movie. I always thought, you lived in Neverland. You could be a kid forever. Why would you give that up? Until I rewatched the movie after having kids, and there's that amazing scene.
I'm a daddy.
And I got it. I really understood how someone could have everything he had and give it up for something infinitely more beautiful. And it created this feeling of joy for me that I've never experienced before in that part of Hook, because I've always loved that movie. But it also made it so understandable how Peter Pan became Peter Banning, how he could forget about all of that stuff and sort of get sucked into this new life. And in some ways, the film treats that as a negative, but not his family. It treats his new mentality of how he's become obsessed with work and has distanced himself from his family, which is the thing that brought him joy initially from leaving Neverland. And so the fact that he's completely separated himself from not just his past as Peter Pan, but his family, it creates this beautiful arc that I've never really felt while watching Hook. Because not only does he get to become Peter Pan again, but he reconnects with his family as his true self. And I really think that that's a beautiful arc that not a lot of people appreciate. This next one's kind of funny because pretty much every Harrison Ford action thriller from the 90s to the 2000s is almost entirely about his family being in peril. I don't know if you guys have ever seen like some of those montage clips where it's just Harrison Ford being like, my family, my wife, where's my family? And almost all of them have become enhanced in some way because family in peril. I rewatched Air Force One recently, which I think is so incredibly underrated and such a fantastic film. Rest in peace, Wolfgang Peterson. And there's that scene that I always understood where he's forced to choose between his entire country and allowing terrorists to get what they want or the life of his daughter. And obviously, I think we all get it. We get why he makes the choice. It makes sense, like mathematically on paper, you know what I mean? But watching it after becoming a parent, it was the first time where I went, yeah, of course, I would do the exact same thing. Yeah, you have to, because it's your kid. And it's really gratifying for me to know that these movies I've always loved work in multiple ways throughout my life. I appreciate you guys watching this. I've been thinking about this for a couple years now. I also have another idea in regards to how movies have changed, or at least my opinion on filmmaking more so has changed watching my kids watch movies. Because they're at a stage now where they're starting to pay attention more to film and they're starting to understand plot developments a little bit better. Like they're saying, oh no, when something bad happens in a movie or where a character has some sort of obstacle thrown their way, which is adorable to see. But it's also kind of changed the way I look at filmmaking a little bit. And I'd love to talk about how watching my kids watch movies has changed my opinion of certain things and what can really grab someone. Because a child has like the most pure emotions or reactions to something you could ever experience. And really seeing how they look at film, not understanding what film is, not necessarily understanding that there's something not real about it, and watching them sort of figure that out is a fascinating topic that I haven't seen too many people discuss. So I'd love to do that in the future. But I also want to give a big thank you to the sponsor for this video, ZBiotics. We all have busy lives these days and can't afford to waste a day stuck on the couch because of a few drinks the night before. ZBiotics is the answer we've all been looking for. ZBiotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. ZBiotics produce an enzyme to break this byproduct down. It's designed to work like your liver, but in your gut where you need it most. Just remember to take ZBiotics before you drink alcohol and drink responsibly. Then get a good night's sleep for your best tomorrow. So go to zbiotics.com/Stuckmann or scan the QR code on the screen right now to get 15% off your first order when you use Stuckmann at checkout. You can also sign up for a subscription using my code so you can stay prepared no matter the time or occasion. ZBiotics is backed with 100% money-back guarantee, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Thank you so much to ZBiotics for sponsoring this video, and thank you guys for watching. Look forward to more videos very soon. And if you like this, you can click right here and get Stuckmanized.